Adagio Purchase Orders version 8.1C has numerous new changes and features. Let's take a look. If you previously used purchase orders for Adagio, an older version, you can open up that existing database. Just point to it just like you always have. You'll get a message indicating that the database will be converted, and this is really just to create new security groups and an entry template. The original data will not be converted in a way that you can no longer access it with purchase orders for Adagio version 8.1b. But you should be aware that you can't have both programs running on the same company simultaneously. When it comes time to running this mini conversion, you have the opportunity of making a backup now if you wish. And if you are a user of Adagio ePrint, you can have that functionality immediately enabled as part of the conversion process. Adagio Purchase Orders has an improved data integrity checker. What this means is that there probably is some corruption in your data that wasn't previously being found. And so therefore, this message will occur to let you know that the first thing you can do is run an integrity check and a rebuild in order to fix those errors. So before any of the other functions are available, you have to run a data integrity check, and you do a check and a rebuild. Common examples of errors that were previously not being found and now are and are fixable are if you have completed purchase orders and some details have quantity on back order not equal to 0, or the purchase order's outstanding balance is incorrect on your vendors in Adagio payables, or some details on existing transactions have an incorrect detailed discount extension. So once you've run an integrity check and a rebuild, then all of the features are available to use. The options and settings in the company profile have been reorganized in order to more closely resemble those in other Adagio programs. To access the company profile, you can use the toolbar or the edit menu. In purchase orders for Adagio, there are two tabs called Interfaced Options and Interfaced Posting Options, and those have been reorganized into an Integration tab and a Ledger Interface tab. So anything involving an interface with Adagio Ledger will be here, and integration to other programs such as Adagio Inventory, Adagio Payables, and Adagio Job Cost will be found here. Purchase orders for Adagio had two tabs called Runtime Variables, 1 and 2. And the options here generally have been reorganized into an Entry Defaults and System Options tabs. There no longer is an Order Receipt Defaults tab in the company profile. This has been changed to an entry template that's available from the maintenance menu of Adagio Purchase Orders. Also, there no longer are tabs related to print order options or an access log. A new tab that's available here is information for reports and specs. This allows you to set default specifications and some other information if you use Adagio ePrint. Also, a PDF Options tab that allows you to set folders if you use Adagio ePrint, and other settings here. The menu names in Organization and Toolbar have also been updated in order to more closely resemble other Adagio programs. Purchase orders for Adagio had two menus called Process and Tools, and the functions from both of those menus have been merged into the Maintenance menu in Adagio Purchase Orders. The toolbar have had the images updated. The Documents button for printing specifications is no longer a toolbar button. Instead, it can be found from the Reports menu and Print Documents. You can also print documents directly from the entry screens. The Reports button has also been removed, and instead reports can be found from the Reports menu and the particular report subtypes. The Maintain button for modifying records directly in purchase orders, such as sundry items or ship to addresses, are no longer accessible from a Maintain button. Instead, the Edit menu contains all of those codes. The Inquiries button now opens up current document entry. But if you want to access item purchase or item purchase history, you can now find that from the Inquiries menu. Adagio Purchase Orders now comes with all the standard common features that you've been used to and expect in Adagio programs. There's lots of them, so let's take a look at a few. When you want to customize the grids to show columns of the information, instead of having to right-click and show fields, what you can now do is just double-click on the column title and access the column editor. And you can just select fields and add them, and these are saved by user and definable via security. Purchase orders for Adagio allowed to add color to the grids based on document status, such as outstanding or completed or partially received, but you cannot customize the colors or add additional ways to color the grid. Adagio Purchase Orders supports filters. The pre-existing colors and document statuses from purchase orders for Adagio are automatically created for you, and you can choose to create your own, whether or not they add color. Adagio ePrint is now supported in Adagio Purchase Orders for both documents and reports. If you'd like to print documents to PDF, you can select the document type and click the standard EP button. And if you want to set up options for those documents are saved, you can choose to do so here. If you access the company profile, the Report Specs tab has a place where you can archive a second copy for your vendors. And all of the standard setup for the Adagio ePrint, and also a third copy that could be an accounting copy so that you generate a PDF regardless of whether you print or email or print to PDF. And they have this specification look a little bit different than what actually gets sent to your vendor. When printing reports, you can choose to ePrint or email the PDF based on the settings that you choose here. Favorite reports are also supported in Adagio Purchase Orders, where you can specify a particular setting and then those options will automatically be selected. You can choose to load a favorite report setting directly from the report dialog or from the reports menu and a flyout menu. Also, report sets, a grouping of numbering of favorite reports, can be added and printed together all at once, either from here or from an automated task. To customize the purchase orders by user, user preferences are now supported for the desktop display. Options such as what opens up when you first start Adagio Purchase Orders, and also the way that the reports print, including specified Adagio ePrint settings. Excel Direct is found in a number of grids throughout the program, whether it's on documents or inquiries or vendors as well. So you can send the information to an Excel spreadsheet from a single click. And an integration with Adagio Ledger version 9 has been upgraded on the Ledger Interface tab. In addition to the previous features, you can choose to integrate with a second description and also use user-defined format in order to fully more customize the information that goes to the description fields. Transaction entry screens have been greatly improved for ease of use and to be more consistent with other Adagio programs. Let's take a look at some of the changes. In order to print a document that's been posted already, you can just simply select it from the grid and click the print button, rather than having to search for it through the print documents area. You can do the same with copying documents and just simply click on the document and click copy for purchase orders or requisitions. instead of having to edit the document and look for the duplicate button. Many of the shortcut keys that have been able to click buttons using your shortcut on the keyboard have changed a little bit to accommodate the new toolbars and buttons that are on the screens. We try to keep things as consistent as possible, but you should be aware that there are some changes. If we edit an existing document and the details screen, for those documents that have lots of details and you want to be able to find, you can sort the details on the grid by something different so that you can look for it. And if you wish, you can choose to keep the sort if you want to reorganize the details on a purchase order. When creating a new purchase order, you can choose to search not only for the vendor name based on the vendor code that's up here now, but you can also use the Find Vendor button in order to search a vendor by the vendor name or by its phone number. Similarly, for items, you can search not only from the item code from the Finder field here, but also on the Find Item button, you can look for an item by its description. Vendors can be set to be inactive, and Adagio Purchase Orders now supports that setting. If you select a vendor that has been set to be inactive, you'll get a message that you cannot actually create a purchase order for this vendor. Similarly for items, if you attempt to select an item that is not active, you'll get an error message and you'll not be able to save an item detail for an inactive item. If I select another item and I'd like to make a purchase for this, the grid down below that shows the quantities for each of the different active locations has been enhanced. It's editable, and you can see more default information such as maintained reorder data by location. And if you wish to make an order for a different location than that was set on the header, I can just double click on the grid and that will select the new location. Terminology for the purchase order screens have changed. In many cases, you'll see unit price or contract price, and that has changed so that you know that from the perspective of your company, a cost is a purchase. So that when you see unit price, you actually know that that refers to a sales order from Adagio Order Entry. Similarly, you'll see instead of order, for a purchase order, you'll actually see the term PO or purchase order, so that if you see the term order, you'll know that it refers to an order entry sales order. When creating a purchase order, you can choose when you select the vendor to have a number of default options from the vendor itself, such as the location that you'd like to receive the stock to, and also the tax group and status, and the specification when you print. Adagio Purchase Orders supports a number of areas where we reduce the number of pop-up screens. So for example, update stock levels doesn't pop up. Instead, you'll see a term that indicates that you're either overstocked or understocked based on your reorder data, and it gives you the opportunity to suggest ordering up to the minimum stock. If you use line discounts and create a new detail, then the discount percent and the associated amount will automatically display on the screen here, moving the received and extended wait fields over to the left a bit. If you use event budgets and you activate event budgets on the header screen, then when you create a new detail, then the event budget can be selected here. And if you're integrated with Adagio Job Cost and set a job on the order, then that information will also be appeared here. There are two other pop-ups that no longer appear. One is if you do a receipt for a purchase order and you choose to update the base price when it comes time to posting the receipt. The IC base price that you can override can be set directly on the screen rather than the pop-up. If you use the manual way of updating the base price, then what you'll see here is the current base price from the item. if you use the automatic way of updating the base price, then the unit cost multiplied by the markup factor will be shown here. And this is available whether or not the markup factor is 1 or greater than 1. The other pop-up that no longer appears is when you edit a document and you choose to allocate miscellaneous charges manually rather than an automatic way. Instead of having a pop-up screen appear and you have to go through each item one by one, you can automatically add the miscellaneous charge here as desired. And when it comes time to posting, all the math will be done in order to make sure that the entire miscellaneous charge has been allocated properly. When viewing documents, you no longer have a Control W screen in order to launch document inquiry. The vendor inquiry button to the right of the vendor number will always be used, whether or not you're viewing or editing a document. You can view the specification of any transaction directly from here, or if you'd like to see it as a different document, it's very easy to set up. And also the data flow shows you the purchases, the receipts, the adjustments, and also by vendor if desired. And you can double click in order to see the information about that particular document. Previous and next is also available in order to see different documents within inquiry. If you want to be able to see more information, document screens are sizable, so you can show more information on grids. Also, if you want to view multiple documents at the same time, I can have multiple documents open so that I can view or edit more than one simultaneously. There are many other changes to the way that purchase orders now works. Let's take a look at a few. One major change is the way that you design your specifications for printing purchase orders, receipts, requisitions, and so on. Now, the standard Adagio specification designer is available so that you can specify particular sections. You can choose fields from a drop-down list and drag them, add logos or other graphical images. This will make modifying and creating your specifications a lot simpler. When you auto-generate purchase orders, either from Adagio order entry from outstanding sales orders, or from Adagio inventory based on the reorder data that's available, you now have the opportunity, in addition to selecting items from the particular ranges, you can now choose to which locations you do the purchase orders for. Reorder data is stored in Adagio inventory by location, and Adagio purchase orders supports this. So when you select particular locations and generate the list, you can now see the list of items that are generated. When you create your purchase orders, you can choose to have one purchase order for each location, in addition to separate purchases by vendor. In the historical lists of transactions, purchase orders for Adagio had a restore button that would unarchive a set of purchase order, receipt, and invoice. The restore button in Adagio purchase orders now creates a brand new purchase order based on the one that you're restoring, essentially like copying a historical order. Security groups are converted from purchase orders for Adagio. And the standard layout for doing security group entry is now available in Adagio purchase orders, from just selecting particular menus. And in the case of transaction entry, you can choose security access to particular buttons on transaction entry screens. An entry template is also available by security group if you want to customize the default values and available fields on the transaction dialog. Adagio purchase orders now supports additional import and export. Now sundry items, sundry vendors, pickup addresses, and contract costs are available to import or to export. And finally, when you run day-end processing in Adagio purchase orders, you're not required to have other users exit the system. You can continue to have other users generate purchase orders or receipts, and the only thing that is prevented at the time of running day-end processing is invoice adjustment entry. The management reports in Adagio purchase orders now uses the same technology as other Adagio programs. This allows you to take advantage of features such as remember report settings and favorite reports, and also to be able to make modifications yourself. Let's take a look at a couple of other changes to the management reports. Purchase orders for Adagio had a report titled PO Receipt Return Listing, and this report has been renamed to the Transaction Listing Report. The features of the report are unchanged. It's just the name of the report that has changed. Purchase orders for Adagio had an outstanding purchase orders report. However, it was very similar to the PO Receipt Return Listing, just a couple of options difference. This report has been rewritten to allow you to base the outstanding purchase orders at the detail level. So you can choose a selection of item numbers, and when you preview, you can have item subtotals on this report. You can also choose to sort the report by other ways, by vendor, by receipt date, and so on. And finally, the outstanding receipt invoice list has a couple of new features. There now is a calculate as of date, so that you can choose to backdate the report and see the outstanding receipts as of that date. Any receipts invoiced after this date will not have that status change affected. Also, the total balance of this report should sync up to the clearing account in Adagio Ledger. You can also choose the quantity type, such as choosing only the negative or positive or all of the quantities. Choosing negative allows you to see all of your receipt returns.